What's going on, guys? So, today I would like to talk to you guys about the pros and cons of living in South Korea. So, the first pro is that the country is generally very safe. The crime rate is really low, so you can pretty much walk around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning, and you don't have to ever worry about getting stabbed, mugged, or raped. But obviously, use your common sense. Don't walk around in places that are not lit, alleyways and stuff. Away like walking away from the major roads. So it generally is quite safe, right? Next one. The next pro is that the healthcare system is of extremely high quality and very affordable, especially if you are a teacher or you have some form of insurance. I know the school covers 50% and you cover the other half, which is quite good. If I'll give you an example, one time I got my wisdom teeth removed and ended up spending about 5 or 6 thousand won, which is equivalent to about $5 or $6. But back in the West, it'd probably be like 150, 200, or even more, right? Dollars. So it generally is quite affordable. And honestly, getting your test done, if you're gonna get a blood test, a urine test, or whatever, you can get all those tests done within a span of an hour. I mean, everything is so organized. The healthcare system is so organized. It's absolutely amazing. Um, Next one. The food is very healthy, quite cheap, and very delicious. So there are places that are about like 24-hour soup restaurants. They have unlimited rice, so you can order as much rice as you want until your stomach explodes. And the food is very nutritional. They have a bunch of vegetables. Most of the food is like boiled or grilled. It's really good and extremely delicious. I'm so surprised. Korean food is amazing. Not as good as Indian food, like South Asian food, but it's good. It's up there. Next one. The people are really respectful and extremely helpful. So if you do look like a foreigner like me, for me, like I walk down the street and people just bow, they say hello, they're very curious about where you're from. If you need help for anything like directions, they will go out of their way to help you as best as they can. Even if they're wrong, they will still try to help you as best as they can. And that's what I really appreciate about Korean people. They're very nice. Next one. The cost of living is generally lower compared to the West. So then again, going back to being a teacher, the school generally, based on your contract, covers your accommodations. You just have to pay for utilities, which isn't that much. Rent, even just rent, is not that bad, especially if you're away from the major cities like Seoul or Busan. It's generally quite affordable. So that's something that I really appreciate. It's really good. Also, talking about the cost of living, tax is included whenever you buy something, right? So if something is 2,000 won, it's 2,000 won. It's not 2,000 won plus HST, GST, tax, whatever. You know what I mean? It's great. Absolutely great. The tax is included. Give them that bill, that's it. It's paid for. Another pro is that you get paid quite well living in Korea, especially if you're a teacher. You generally make more than enough to live a comfortable life and to save money for later. Unless you love spending and splurging, good luck with that. But it's not bad. Even other professions, if you're not a teacher here, you generally get paid quite well. And adding that to the cost of living, the low cost of living, it's quite great. Okay. Let's get to the cons. I hate doing cons. Okay. First con is the language barrier. So the language barrier isn't that of a problem like in like major cities like Seoul or Busan, but it can be a problem when you go to like a smaller city or a village. A lot of for me personally, I live in Chungju, which is I think about almost 2 hours away from Seoul. Everything here is in Korean. There's no English translations for a lot of things, a lot of signs and restaurants and menus. So it can be a little bit of a challenge or a little bit of annoyance to understand what you're reading and where you're going and stuff like that. If you work for a company like me, I work at a Hagwon. Sometimes the communication barrier can be stressful when you're speaking to like supervisors or other Korean teachers. So it can hinder your ability to work, but obviously that's not really a big of a problem because you just have to be patient and if you know a little bit of the language that can help, and Koreans are always there to help you and they always try to like help you understand what you need to do and what needs to get done. So just be ready for that, and obviously we have apps that you can translate, so that helps as well. Next con, garbage bins. So just like Japan, they are hard to find. So you got to carry your garbage with you for sometimes long periods of time, and you're hunting for a garbage bin. Where is it? Where is it? Right? So yeah, and also when you go to certain restaurants, especially fast food restaurants, there is a separate garbage bin for lids, like lids, plastic lids. There's a separate bin for straws. There's a separate bin for your other form of trash, and there's another separate bin for ice, for dumping the ice. So it can be tedious at the beginning, but you do get used to it. So just be ready for that. That is a very different way of throwing away your trash compared to the West. Another con, some locals, they may try to take advantage of the fact that you are a foreigner that speaks English. So I'll give you an example. So one time I went to the hospital and I was speaking to a doctor, right? So I enter the room, and I say hello, and he doesn't respond. He's probably busy or stressed out or doesn't like his job. I don't know. Anyway, so I sat down and was telling him my problems or whatever. And then as soon as he found out that I was an English teacher, his eyes opened up wide, like this. He's like, "Oh, 영어 선생님이에요. You're an English teacher. Wow." He's like, give me your number. Let me take you out for somewhere we can eat." The moment he said that, I knew right away that he was trying to take advantage of me, right? That I speak English and he wanted free English lessons. And you know what? You can use your own discretion. I mean, if there is a benefit for you too, like if you can practice your Korean with him, then go for it. But if you don't want that, then, just be ready for that, right? Just use your own common sense. And sometimes, since you are a foreigner and you don't speak their language, you can be taken advantage of if you go to like a grocery store or some other store or whatever. Sometimes they may try to double charge you for some items and stuff. So you got to be aware. Again, use your common sense. For me personally, twice it's happened where I was buying something and I looked at the screen and I saw two. And I'm like, "Oh, why are you charging me twice?" So I questioned it, right? And she's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. And then it happened twice, right? In the same grocery store. It happened twice to me. And so sometimes they try to take advantage of the fact that you are a dumb foreigner. They because you don't know the language. So just be aware. Another con is that the weather can be very extreme at depending on the season. Wintertime it can be really cold, extremely cold. Summertime it can be very, very hot. And during like a rainy season, which is like around August time, it can be raining every single day. Like recently it has been raining for 50 days straight. So just be mentally prepared for the extreme weather conditions of being in Korea. And the next con is that Korea tends to have some pretty strange rules. For example, some Koreans, they don't like it when you speak English on the bus. So it's happened about twice. So one time I was talking to one of my coworkers on the bus in English, and someone turned around and did this. right? And it's happened twice. So I get it. It does make sense. You know, you're in their country, and you make them feel uncomfortable if you speak English. So just be aware of that. You know, when you go on public transit, try not to speak English loudly. Another rule that they have here is don't stare at the locals. If you stare at the locals for too long, it is considered to be an intrusion of privacy. So just be mindful of, if you see like a good-looking person and you stare at them, try not to stare at them for too long. They may think you're, why are you looking at me so hard for, right? Whoa, 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 I feel really uncomfortable, right? Like, stuff like that. And another really, oh man, this is a big one. Don't get into a conflict with the locals here. So first of all, you are a foreigner and, you don't speak the language. And even if it is the Koreans' fault for the conflict, if it's their fault, chances are you're going to lose that battle with the law because you don't speak the language. So it's better to just avoid it at all costs. And also, it's not good to it's considered extremely, extremely disrespectful to argue with like older people because Korea has a hierarchical system. So try not to get into fight with like aunties and uncles here. It's not good. It's not good. And another con is you shouldn't leave food on your plates at restaurants. It's back in the West, like there are signs sometimes indicates that if you leave food, you have to pay. But in Korea, it's like extremely, extremely like important to like finish all your food on your plate or you will get charged a hefty amount sometimes. And there are rules placed everywhere in the restaurant. Right. And sometimes there's also rules where like you can only stay in a restaurant for like a certain amount of time, and they'll only serve you if there's a certain amount of people that you're being accompanied with. There are also sometimes rules because of the corona. There are rules where you have to wear a mask when you enter. You gotta sign, put your name down, and indicate that where you're living, your phone number. It's all very organized, which is quite great. But anyways, just be ready for like all of these like little minuscule rules that you're probably not used to. And yeah, those are the pros and cons of living in South Korea. Peace.